All right, so next up is lines. Sometimes these are called polylines, sometimes they're called line strings, sometimes they're just called lines. So a line is basically a collection of points, as I've mentioned before. If we go to geojson.io, we can go here and we can draw ourselves a line, and we'll see what the GeoJSON looks like. So if I draw a line, there we have a line with 4 points, we see instead of just having a single point, let's put a point here too to compare it, instead of just having one array here that has 2 items in it, the longitude and the latitude, here we have an array of arrays. So it starts to get this nested thing going on where you have basically an array of points. So here you have an individual point, here you have an array of points. So the line is defined as like a list of points, and they go in the order from the first one to the last one. And you can see here it's called a line string. So this is a line just for the sake of being able to actually see what a line is like. But let's go ahead and look at adding them. So if we look at our leaflet map and we go look at the code, this is all pretty straightforward. Here we are with our tile layer, and down here we have our leaflet polyline example. So we can pop that in to our documentation. And again, you know, if you ever need to find this, just right up at the top, you're going to look around and you're going to see here's polyline, right? So if we click on polyline, we have this example where they have lat longs, they have a polyline here, and then they do this thing fit bounds, but we're going to learn about fit bounds later. So we have this polyline thing. So, okay, so one of the little things here, if we just copy this example, right, and we just put in our own lat longs. So what did I do here? Well, here I took some lat longs, like just by taking this and copying it by, you know, pressing copy. And then I went and pasted them in here. So I just went and then pasted them, right? I'm just going to use the ones I already had because it's a little easier, but I pasted them in. Now, one of the tricky things, again, since these come in longitude, latitude, and Leaflet uses latitude, longitude, we have to reverse the coordinates, just like we did for the individual point. And in this case, yeah, okay, we could take each point and manually, like, okay, I cut it, then I go up here and I paste it, and I could do that for all of them, but it's a bit of a pain. So instead, what we can do is do a little function where we take all these lat longs, we go over each one, and we run this little function that's built into JavaScript that's called reverse. And what reverse does is it just does what it says. It reverses the 2 items in the array so they're in the other order. So now we've basically taken this lat long thing, we've reversed each of the coordinates, so now they're in latitude, longitude instead of longitude, latitude. And then we add the polyline just like we saw in the leaflet documentation here. We just add the polyline with the lat longs and we make it red. And if we load it up, there's our little example polyline that I drew. So, okay, if I don't reverse it, let's just see what happens. So if I don't reverse it, again, it's going to be some crazy place on the other side of the world. There it is. And it's even like, it doesn't even look the same. It's all reversed in some weird way. So that reversal thing is quite important. Now, we can also add, in Leaflet, we can add GeoJSONs directly, which isn't a bad thing to get used to because we're going to be using GeoJSONs a lot. So this is kind of like the most direct way to add your Leaflet points, is using this straight up documentation in Leaflet. But there is also a way to add a GeoJSON directly, and it's down here. We're going to look for it right here. There's GeoJSON. And here they have an example of how to add a GeoJSON. So we're just going to look through that real quick as an alternative to adding the polyline the way we just did. It's really good to get used to GeoJSONs, and since what we do in MapLibra is really work with GeoJSONs, not a bad thing. So here I just copied the whole GeoJSON from geojson.io. So I just, you know, went in here and I copied the whole thing, and I defined it as a new variable called GeoJSON, pasted it there, okay. And then all I have to do is this little LGeoJSON add to map. Okay, so if I do that, and we see that in the documentation, it's a little bit unclear. They have this data thing, which they don't actually show you what that is, but that's basically a GeoJSON object. Then they have this style stuff, and then they have this add to map. So it's a little different than some of the other examples, but here we are, LGeoJSON add to map. Let's see if this adds anything. So it does. It adds a line just in some color, default color. We are not telling it what color to do. So if we want it to be red, we're going to have to tell it to be red. But since it's a GeoJSON, it's not the same as just having the polyline where it's one line and we're telling it to be red. In this case, this might have many lines with it, right? Because it's a GeoJSON, so I could have lines and points and polygons and all sorts of stuff. So what Leaflet has is this little function that's a little complicated. We don't really have to understand it totally now. You just have to know that's how you're going to style these things. Is you can tell it, oh, make all the features, give all the features that you're going to create this option to color them red. And if they have the ability to be colored red, they'll be colored red. And this is what they do right here, right? They have this style, function, feature, return, color, properties, whatever. So, down in these example documentation, it talks about style and that it's a function and that it tells you a little bit about it. I do think it's a little confusing, but you're going to get there. And it's more just to illustrate, hey, you can use a GeoJSON. And as you get used to things, this is a really good way to do things where you don't need to do any reversal of coordinates. Because in this case, Leaflet knows that the GeoJSON specification comes in longitude, latitude. So that's just straight how it works. So that's basically adding a line string in Leaflet. We'll see you in the next one.